The mental model I'm going to break down with you in this video here today is the answer to all your questions. It's going to give you the life you desire. If you don't know me, my name is Angelo Christmas. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa, and me learning this skill and adopting this mental model is what took me from being a guy that was working on a normal 9 to 5, not even 2 years ago, to being able to make money online from my laptop from anywhere in the world and be able to produce thousands of dollars every single month through high ticket sales. And it was only because I've adopted the same skill I'm going to be speaking about in this video right now. So what is the skill? The skill I'm talking about is the ability to become resourceful. Now, what exactly does that mean? It's a lot simpler than people may realize. Your ability to become resourceful directly is linked to how successful you'll become. Because you can either be the type of person that says, I can't do this, I can't afford this, that's not for me. Or you can change the way you talk and think and say, I can't do this now, but what can I do to learn to allow me to do that? I can't afford this now, but how can I afford this? And you making a simple tweak in your language, in your thoughts, the way you believe and view the world, that's going to allow you to go from a victim mindset, you thinking you can't achieve anything, to actually go into problem-solving mode and find ways of how you can make something work. I'll give you a very good example of this. When I think back to my journey and when I finally saw my breakthrough in 2024, I was working a 9 to 5 I hated. I was working 11-hour shifts. And a lot of people in that situation will think, I don't have the time to take on something new. I don't have the time to learn a new skill, to learn another income stream, acquire another income stream. However, that's never been me, right? I've always been a guy that believed in myself and believed that I can find a way to make something work. Even if I can't do it right now, I'm going to find a way how I can do this. So what did I do, right? I was working 9 to 5 I hated. I wanted a way out. So I went out there and I found a fucking way out. And that's when I found high ticket sales. And although I was working my 9 to 5, 11-hour shifts, I was still able to, get into high ticket sales and 4x my income while working 9 to 5, a full-time 9 to 5. Imagine that, right? You probably think, watching this now, and this maybe you may know someone like this, right? That thinks because of my situation, I'm unable to do X, Y, Z. However, if you just change the way you see the world, you can say, because of my situation, yes, it might make it harder to do X, Y, Z, but what can I do that will allow me to do X, Y, Z, okay? And that's exactly the frame of mind I had and what's allowed me to see my breakthrough. Because let me tell you, it was not easy, right? It required hard work, it required sacrifices, and it required me to show up every single day. When I think back to that time in 2024, when I was working my full-time 9 to 5, but still went all in on high ticket sales, I was pretty much working, my normal job would start about 2 p.m., right? And I think I would finish around 11 hours of that would be what? Around like 1 a.m. in the morning or something like that, right? Or midnight, depending on what my shift was. I don't really recall at the time. But anyways, straight after my 9 to 5, boom, I'd be taking sales calls. Straight into the night, like I'm talking like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Fuck, sometimes I even used to work till 6 a.m. in the morning. Ask yourself, how many people are prepared to do that? Very, very slim. And that's why the majority of the people out there will never become successful, because they aren't willing to make the sacrifices necessary to become successful. And when I 4x my income while working my 9 to 5, that's when I made the decision to go all in on high ticket sales. However, if I didn't become resourceful and find a way to make that work, I would still be stuck in my 9 to 5 right now. That's just one example. If I think back to another example, there's been so many times in my life when I was not in a position, on paper to invest further into my skill set and investing towards, getting a mentor, learning new skills, learning more information, surrounding myself with people that have done what I want to do or already are where I want to be in my life. There's been times in my life when my bank account was literally in negative. I was even behind on my mortgage. This is literally what I've experienced. And even in those darkest times in my life, I still found a way to find the money to invest into myself. You know, so you might be someone watching this right now. You might be, you know, not in the best financial situation right now. You know, you might have some bills you're behind on. You might not be. You might feel like there's no opportunity for you to, you know, take an investment or invest into yourself. But I'm here to tell you that's not fucking true. Okay, because instead of saying I can't afford something, ask yourself, how can I afford something? And then, because if you think like that, that's what's going to allow you to actually become more resourceful, right? Because if you ask yourself, how can I afford this? Now you go into problem solving mode. You're like, okay, who can I ask to, you know, help me out with some money to make this investment? Which banks can I go to get a loan? You know, how can I raise this money? You know, what can I sell to acquire the funds? What services can I provide to someone to, you know, raise the money for me to actually get the money I need to invest into XYZ, right? You get so resourceful, and if you think hard enough, you'll find the fucking money. It's not about your situation. It comes down to how bad you fucking want it. Because ask yourself right now, if someone held a gun to your head or to your, you know, your partner's head and told you that you need to find $100,000 in 2 weeks, you probably find the money, right? So stop thinking that you can't do something in your life because of your situation. You need to change the meaning and the way you view the world. And before you know it, your life is going to change tremendously, just like mine has. Okay? So that's the main lesson I want to sort of speak about in this video, is your ability to become resourceful. Stop saying you can't do something. Ask yourself, how the fuck can I do this? Okay? And I'm not saying this is going to be easy. This is not an easy way to view the world and live by. But when you adopt this mental model, it's what's going to give you the best chance of becoming successful, and it's what's going to make you most competitive. Because the sad truth is that the majority of the people out there are not prepared to become resourceful. They use their situation as a coping mechanism as to why they can't make a change. But the truth is, if you keep waiting until you're ready to take a step forward, to take a leap, to take the risk, nothing will ever change, and you'll stay exactly where you are for the rest of your life. So stop waiting for the perfect moment, create the perfect moment, and do what you need to do to level up and get to the next phase in your journey. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking through to the end. As always, I appreciate you watching this. Make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and please subscribe if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have an amazing day and stay safe.